Hey guys, my name's Sam and welcome to Paramedic. In this week's video, we are going over my first line gear that I wear as a SWAT medic. So before we get started, I need to give some background about the team I'm on now. So a lot of you guys have seen my first line gear video that I did probably a year to 2 years ago, and that goes over my SWAT medic belt as well. But I have since moved from Iowa to Colorado, and in Iowa, I was a sworn law enforcement officer there. So I was part of the entry team. I was armed. I had a sidearm as well as a rifle, and my setup reflected that. Out here in Colorado, I'm actually part of the Special Operations Response Team, which is a team that is sponsored by the EMS system I work for. And we essentially attach to two different SWAT teams. We also do some high angle rescue, some search and rescue work, as well as dive rescue standbys. So because of that, we are not sworn here, which means we are not armed. We go in, we train with the SWAT teams, they know what to do with us, and we have a policy and a procedure with them on how we respond with them. So generally speaking, we've got a couple medics on scene with them when they're doing any kind of raid or activity, and one will be in the Bearcat with the entry team itself. We also have a Special Operations Response Team vehicle that can sit and transport patients, and then periodically we'll also bring an ambulance depending on what the situation is. So we are not armed, but we are well guarded when we're going in, and we also have all of the armor to protect ourselves in those situations, as well as the situational awareness and the ability to work with them. So first line gear is any gear that you have on you all the time. Because my team switches between heavy vests and light vests, I've decided to run a lot of my equipment on my belt so that I don't always have to be taking all the equipment off one and putting it on something else. So most of it is running on this belt, that's why it's so loaded down, but I also have some other supplies on my vests as well as in a pack that I take into the house with me. So with that, I have everything that I need to treat whatever patient is thrown at me. So with all of that being said, let's start going into this belt. At its base, this is the HSGI Slim Grip belt. This is the laser cut webbing version. My old belt, which is actually sitting back here, is the same Slim Grip. It's a little bit of an older model. So I got the updated one for this. The interior belt is a Cobra buckle with a D-ring on it. Now the D-ring can be used to secure, if we're doing like a helicopter operation, you can attach a lanyard to it, but it is not meant to be rappelled with. We have separate harnesses we wear if we are doing rope work or anything like that. So really nice belt, fits well. I like it because it doesn't Velcro over a specific belt. We can just kind of put it over whatever we're wearing. So if I am in my normal EMS uniform and we don't have time to change, then I can just throw it over that belt and I'm good to go. I don't need to get the inner belt for it to stay up. So starting on what's actually on the belt, right next to the buckle, I have a locking carabiner that is a climbing rated carabiner. And we use this if we're doing some rope work, or I have some webbing in my vest that we use to drag people out. It has a lot of different uses. Right on here though, I just have my gloves. So these are Vertex Rapid LT gloves. And like you guys know, they do sponsor this channel. So if you want to pick anything up from Vertex, I've got a code that you can use and you can get 25% off. It also helps support the channel. But I really like these gloves. Basically, they just help protect my hands. You know, if we do have somebody that we're treating, I usually put on some rubber gloves under them and then the gloves over them to protect me if they have needles or anything sharp on them that could hurt me. Next to that, I have two HSGI high-speed gear covered tacos. So I went with the covered tacos because periodically we will go on manhunts or other law enforcement activities up in the mountains. So with that, I like to have something that can keep the gear in. In this first one, I have a multi-tool. Now I have ordered the Leatherman Mutt, which is more of a tactically geared multi-tool. I think it'll work a little bit better. Right now, this is just the Kick, which is a really simple multi-tool. You've seen it on this channel before. I've got like 3 of them. But it's just got your pliers and general tools you might need on the job. It's something that's really useful to have, even if you're not in the tactical environment. The multi-tools are a must. Next to that, I have the Phoenix LD30. So you guys have also seen this video. Phoenix was nice enough to actually sponsor our entire team and donated a bunch of these to us, which is really, really nice. This is a super bright flashlight. It's tail switch activated, which is really nice. And then it has multiple options, including strobe, as you cycle through the button, and some other features there. So it's really good to have a light source. I also have a headlamp that I carry with me on my second line gear, or sometimes in my pack, so that I can do some hands-free lighting. That being said, a light like this, if you do need to use it hands-free, you can just put it under your arm as it's shining, and you can kind of go ahead and do whatever you're doing there. Works pretty well. And then if you're wearing a hat, you can also put this on the brim of the hat. So it's got a lot of different uses, but you definitely need a light source doing these kind of operations. So right next to that on the belt, I have a very small dump pouch from Blue Force Gear. And I love this thing because it is so lightweight. It folds very, very small. I have a HSGI dump pouch on my other belt that takes up a little bit more space, and it's fine. But I like this one because it folds up really, really small. And that just expands out. I can put basically any trash, if I've got like a bunch of like gauze or anything next to me, or if I've got something of the victims that I can put in here, take with us to the hospital, you know, whether that's identification or article of clothing, something like that. This dump pouch is awesome to have. And this does have a cinch closure on the top that you can do. It's got a little pull tab there to keep everything in it. If you're hiking or doing anything like that, it won't come out. Very easy to fold up as well. Now, next to that, we have a Blue Force Gear tourniquet now pouch. And these, I had a couple of these. I bought a couple more for my vests. This just mollies right onto the belt. You pull that down and you can get at the tourniquet pretty easily, but it also protects it from the elements, which I really like the ability to do if we're gonna be outside for a long period of time. Now, the reason I have this set up, I actually have two tourniquets on this belt. So I've got this one here, and this one can be accessed from either hand, but it's a lot easier with my left hand. And then I have this tourniquet right underneath my Trauma Kit Now by Blue Force Gear. And I can take that out with my right hand. So if I'm injured, if I have one arm that's not working, I can always get to one of the tourniquets on my belt. Now, above that tourniquet, I have the Blue Force Gear Trauma Kit Now, and this is an awesome IFAK. It's super compact, but it really has everything you need to start your march algorithm. So in here, we've got an ARS needle for needle decompression. It also has a hyphen chest seal, some PPE, some gloves. It has hemostatic agent, and then it has a trauma bandage and some fraud tape in it to do any number of things. So it basically handles all your severe bleeding and some of your airway. I also forgot to mention it has a nasopharyngeal airway, which goes in the nose, just helps open that airway up, but it is not a protective measure. It doesn't actually keep them from aspirating. It basically just bypasses the tongue, so they have a clear route of air from the lungs to the outside environment. One of the last items I have on my belt is a Pogi pouch from High Speed Gear. Now in here, I have a bunch of airway things. So this essentially is all the contents from the SOAR Rescue Advanced Airway MedMag, which I reviewed a couple weeks back. Really awesome product. And I basically just used the supplies from that because I opened it on the last video and filled it with this. So in here, I've got the ARS needle still, and then I've got another NPA, some hyphen chest seals, and I carry everything I need for a surgical cricothyrotomy. So I carry the cric kit itself. So this is a cric tube with a bougie inserter. And then I have a scalpel and a trach hook. So all of these will allow me to secure somebody's airway in a dire situation, not something that is going to be used a ton, but I've found that it's good to have that on my persons. Now that's going to protect the airway and open it if they have massive facial trauma, but then I also have a pocket BVM in my backpack, which I also have a review on a couple weeks back, and that can be used to actually ventilate the patient. So I can't really carry that on me, it's not on my vest. This just opens that airway and protects it for me. Now right under here, you'll see I've got a little clip, and this clip attaches to the belt underneath. This belt's really cool because it has the option of either using the MOLLE fields, or you can route it over them and you can actually mount something to the belt. So this pouch is connected to the MOLLE on either side, and then I've routed the belt on top, and this connects directly to the belt. and that is to secure my gas mask case. So this is too big to just mount on the belt. It would take up way too much space. So this is a drop leg. It's on my right side because I'm not carrying a firearm, so it doesn't really matter. And this is essentially a P100 filter. And this will be really good if law enforcement deploys tear gas or something like that in the home to try to get people to come out. This way that when we're going in to treat people, we're not being affected by that. This works really well. It also has a viral filter in it. So I believe this is a P100 or an N100 filter. So it will protect us from other viral sources as well. And then the gas mask we're using is actually just a Scott's SCBA mask with an adapter on it for this filter. We do have SCBAs we can use, so that's why we have these masks. So if we do have to go into a severely IDLH environment, we can don the SCBA and make entry that way. But it's not super common, so we kind of go with this. That's all I have for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I hope to be releasing videos that cover my second line gear, so this plate carrier along with my heavy kit, and then a video that covers everything that I'm using as a SWAT paramedic. I appreciate all your support, and I will see you next week.